Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to the Tuesday Tussle for this Tuesday, December 30th, 2025. This is the last Tuesday Tussle for 2025. And we're calling this particular episode Taking the Next Step Forward as we are entering a new year, dawning upon us the year of 2026. And as far as the sport of boxing is concerned, we have a great deal to look forward to as matchups, proposed cards where some of the quality considerations may take place. Also, just today, we've been inundated with information that some of these promoters and promotional companies are being put on notice that their ways of the past are to be no more going forward. These guys are going to have to make the matchups that the platforms are demanding of them, or they will be cut. So no more stalling, no more dragging things out and letting things marinate, huh? Yeah. So we're going to see some differences in 2026 where, unlike 2025, where some things still got drawn out, we're going to see some get left out. And that's a positive thing. It's not necessarily positive to those who have been a part of procrastinating, but hey, they've brought it on themselves, huh? With their questionable practices. We've seen the departure of major platforms that broadcast boxing abandon our beloved sport for these greedy promoters, marinating, stalling fights out, not putting on the best of matches, and going from network television to HBO and Showtime, the two cable giants. And now, as of late, we've even seen the departure this year of ESPN abandoning ship with boxing. And so when we talk about taking the next step forward, a great deal of that is happening all throughout the sport and for different reasons. You know, I'm not here to harp on any one thing in particular, but just to make you aware that I see what's going on. The news is coming down the pipeline, and it's time for the supporters of the sport to truly buy into what's best for the sport. I've said many times over, stop loving on an individual. Love the sport itself. Do baseball fans not know how to love their team and the sport, America's favorite pastime? The NFL, the NBA, professional hockey, professional soccer, golf, tennis, major sports. When you love the sport, you can enrapture all of its strengths and weaknesses and take it as such, because that's what draws your interest. When you're just loving on a guy that's from your hometown or your state, or because you knew him growing up or something like that, yeah, that's okay. You could support him that way. But don't turn your back on how they make their money. They do this for a living. So when I'm out here and I talk about the health and well-being of the fighters, and I make content that speaks heart and strongly about cheating in the sport, from the PED users to the judges who do not exercise better judgment with scorecards that they hand in, to guys who don't even really belong, finding ways for banned substances to assist them with being able to be a part of the status quo. All of this, referees and officials not being able to take proper care of the fighters. I mean, we've all witnessed referees jump in too quick for some matches and then let others go too long. We've seen them issue standing eights, and then we've seen when they should impose a standing eight, they don't do it and they neglect that. We've seen all types of things for damn near resuscitation of compromised fighters. Just a little over a week ago, the Callum Simpson and Troy Williamson fight, where Williamson was on his way to scoring a stoppage in the 10th round of their fight over in the UK, as Simpson, who was the one that was on the terrible end of receiving punishment, the referee would step in and look at him and ask him, is he okay or whatever, instead of issuing a count. This is like right live on the air, and the announcers calling the fight really didn't say much about it. And I'm like, you guys are sitting right there ringside, and this is taking place? Really? But this is what I'm talking about. If we can't be on one accord when it comes to that, the combatants who participate in the sport, they are at the mercy of this ill-advised assessment of what's going on. Then I see the scorecards after the stoppage, and all three judges had Simpson ahead when Williamson was coming on. By the way, he dropped Simpson 4 times in that 10th round. 4 times. It didn't reflect in their scorecards. And it damn near didn't reflect in the referee, who could have stopped the fight after a couple of knockdowns. But in between, as I said, instead of asking Callum, are you okay? You good? He was supposed to be counting, looking into his eyes. When I see that type of behavior, it makes me think like, man, did he have something on Callum? Meaning like money? Are they from nearby neighboring provinces or something? It's like, I don't know what they call suburbs and towns in the UK, but here we call them suburbs. So it's like, is he from the same suburb, local, or whatever? What? Come on, man. What are you doing? So we see these things transpire, and you have to question. So 2026 will allow us to take that next step forward. Yeah. And be happy to do so. Leave some of the rigmarole of what was transpiring in 2025 that you were very unhappy with, leave that behind. And be inspired for what could be on the horizon coming forward for the new year. And there will there's going to be changing of the guard. We just had one major retirement where the pound for pound king, Terrence Bud Crawford, has elected to step away. And I can't blame him. After achieving as he has in the sport, why not? The man has done a lot and still is not receiving the proper accolades because people want to see him beat now, you see. They want to wage against what his accomplishments are, even diminishing it by saying, well, he didn't really fight anybody, and oh wow, it's like that now, huh? And some of the people who hold fast to hometown guys and things of that nature, if he happened to beat someone that you're familiar with or like or whatever, that doesn't diminish who he is. It doesn't diminish the person that you support. But what's supposed to be taken into account is the quality, the evaluation of talent and ability. You don't have to like the person, but if you love the sport, you should have an appreciation for what fighters are able to accomplish in the ring. Teachable moments for adults is very difficult in 2025 and going forward, because some people just allow ignorance to overtake common application. And it's very unfortunate that they do that. Very unfortunate. I want to take a quick moment and see who we got in the building this evening. Not too many people out there, but I'll acknowledge you all the same. Universal Truth, Lone Star Steph Brown, Chilltown Majors, what's happening with you, brother? Kamara, the Steppin' Razor, Dale Riv, the brother Drew Titan, representing from all three channels, Painful Excellence Podcast and Bear Cave Entertainment. And we got Ravens Nation back with us. What's good with you? Taking the next step forward is important. There are young folks that are a part of that journey going into 2026. When we look at the likes of fighters like the new champion, young champion, Abdullah Mason, a fighter who you can have a real appreciation for, because as green as he is, he has already put on display all that you really get excited for in young fighters going forward. He wants the smoke. He wants to show his talent and ability. He's very reserved in what he has in his family around him, because they are truly a team. He and his brothers, along with his dad. He's a well, soft-spoken young man and a breath of fresh air without being a braggart, without being someone who can put down the opponent that's across from him. When you ask him questions, he answers in an intelligent fashion where he seemingly has been practiced with what to expect, not only from the sport, but from whom he encounters on his endeavors going through this sport and the sporting process of boxing. And for such a young man, this is exceptional. And if he can hone his skills as he goes along through this process, maybe he could have a lengthy career. Because the longevity of your career has a lot to do with how you take care of yourself, how you're able to learn in the gym and not taxed your body by taking unnecessary punishment, and to be able to be smarter than the opponents, to be able to use ring IQ and allow that to work for you. But what an outstanding young man who went from being a prospect just a little over a year ago to a contender this year and champion before the close of the year. Something to be applauded. That is amazing. And he earned that, because there are fighters that they try to put in that situation before they're even ready, before they even tested, before they even have anything that to acknowledge, and they gain, and sometimes they tail off. If there's a little bit of an introduction to money, that becomes a distraction. Again, that's why you hear me say about being a part of the process. That's what that's all about. Salute to Macadus Mac of the South in the building. And the brother Joe Townsend, what's happening with you? He says, salute. Brother Stormy, I want to remind people that Crawford beat Canelo so bad that Canelo told Ellie, get off your knees. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He brought the truth out of Canelo when he brought the truth to Canelo in the fight. I'll never forget that moment when he cracked Canelo with that counter punch, and Canelo looked at him like with that look on his face like, whoa, where'd that come from? Because Canelo is one of the fighters in the sport that has a tremendous poker face, right? He doesn't let you know that something is bothering him or affecting him, if he's hurt or if he, if that was a pretty damn good shot, whatever, right? But there was something about Bud's performance that he had to take a side-eye look at Bud as if to say, man, who are you? What? They didn't tell me about this. It was interesting to catch, especially when it was live, right? When it was a live situation. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. When we watch boxing, there are subtleties that show themselves for people that follow the sport. We learn different things about the guys that we support. We learn, as do they. Sometimes they learn that, man, I don't have it. I don't have enough to get where I need to go. So they'll say things like, I'm never fighting that type of fighter again. Or, do I still got it? Yeah. In the past, guys used to call guys that gave them difficulties like that, bring them to their camps. Hey, I'm inviting you to my camp. You're not a sparring partner. You're a coach and teacher. I want to learn some things. But see, the fighters of today, they don't have that gumption. They don't have the intelligence. They don't have the wherewithal to reach for that type of a option to get better. Lennox Lewis had an Olympic gold medal and a WBC title. And when he was stopped and knocked out for the first time in his career, he immediately sought out the trainer of the guy that knocked him out. I want to learn from the guy that taught a guy who was not elite status how to KO me. I want to learn from that guy. And that was an amazing thing because it took humility to do something like that. I see Jamal Davis over there on the Rumble Act. Salute to you, bro. There were so many things that transpired this year across the board in the sport, through both the women's side of boxing as well as the men's. If you didn't see my end of the year awards show for both divisions, please check it out, because it was a call to acknowledge what transpired, but also the depths and levels of what I was able to pull away from. As I said before, different people may have different of the year awards, but I clearly was able to explain why I selected certain individuals. And speaking of future people and personnel, one to look forward to from the UK side of things is this young man, Ben Whitaker, someone that they're high on. He does have some athleticism, talent, and ability, but I'm not certain about the mentality that he would require as he climbs the level and the ladder of success in the sport. Because just beating up on local talent, and local meaning within the UK, he'll need to step outside of that pond into a lake of talent that comes from other parts of the world. And that's where he can gain more experience and an acknowledgement that there are a few people out here that can teach you a few tricks. And that doesn't have to be tied to a loss, but it means that you would have to attach yourself to embracing the threat. Sometimes when that threat exists, it keeps you sharper and it makes you hone in and focus a little more attentively. Yeah. So those are the kind of things that Mr. Whitaker is going to have to look toward. And you just never know. He already had one little cross up when he took on Cameron, but we'll see if he can elevate beyond that. Because yes, he did defeat him in their rematch, but that doesn't mean that he's gotten better. With this, that's something we're going to have to witness. and he's going to have to go through. You guys like my little setup that I put up this evening? I thought I'd do something a little different going into the new year, huh? It's important to be able to change it up sometimes, huh? Yeah. Now, another guy out of the UK that they're high on would be this young man, Moses Atuma. Now, Atuma is a heavyweight, and in the heavyweight division, you have to be guided carefully, because that's the one division where one punch can really derail a guy. And Moses is a guy who's he's somewhere between 6'2" and 6'3", not quite 6'4", I believe, and around 240 plus pounds, but is a fighter who has come through the gyms of the UK and impressed everyone that he has been in the presence of and has worked with in the gym, because he's also a very young man, like what's my man I just was talking about, Abdullah Mason, but as a heavyweight. And it's very interesting because he had a victory this year over Dillian White. And that victory over White punched him into a stratosphere of consideration of how he'll be matched going forward. Because he's still really a prospect, but the White fight, and it was over so quickly in one round, it didn't give you a look at what's there. And I don't know what it was about Dillian White, because it was a non-performance by him. And as high as the supporters are over in the UK, speaking volumes, some of the veteran fighters, former champions, and the like, certain trainers, not all, they're speaking of Atuma as if he's going to be the next thing smoking coming out of the UK. But if he's not careful and he lets these people push him too fast, he could be the next thing smoked from the UK. Yeah! Huh? The heavyweight division is something else, man. And there are fighters that are out there that are going to test his mettle if he faces them. But knowing how Frank Warren does with Queensberry Promotion, he moves his fighters a certain kind of way. And he's not going to put a man against an American talent anytime soon. Not that America really right now has anyone that can threaten someone like him or put him to the test, because the American fighters have not shown themselves to be hungry enough, aggressive enough, full of the desire enough to go about handling the business and showing out. We're not seeing that presently from the American fighters, not especially in the heavyweight division. Having young guys like Richard Torres has shown us to be, he looks like a club fighter, But being a medalist from the Olympics doesn't mean he's shabby. But I haven't seen much transition there in him, much development, much growth. Even though he's called out, hey, if Atuma wants to face somebody, let him come and I'm ready. We'll see. In the heavyweight division, you have to have more than just a big punch. Yeah, you got to have more than that. And a jab would serve very well. Did I fail to mention that Atuma is a southpaw too? So he's going to have some advantages based on that merit alone, because though we do have some orthodox heavyweights fighting out of the U.S., we don't have a lot that are well developed to be able to defeat fighters who may give you a different look like southpaw. It's just not a lot happening. It is what it is. But as fighters go forward in 2026, we're going to see more of these Riyadh season events, the Ring Magazine fights, the cards. I think in January we have Ring 6 coming up with Shakur Stevenson taking on Teofimo Lopez for Lopez's world title at light welterweight. So we'll see what's happening. But just as the personalities that are in this group picture here with Turki Al-Sheikh, listen, the matches are out there to be made. It's time for people to step to it. Yeah, it's important. Let's see here. The thing about young fighters being able to knock people out, having power, which is a real big thing with Frank Warren, he can really punch. Most of the guys who can really punch can't really fight. Now that might sound a little disruptive to some ears, but take it from me, I know what I say when I say that. Does anyone in the chat understand what I mean when I say there are fighters who can punch, but they don't necessarily know how to fight? There's a difference. You have to be able to be more than just a bare, raw piece of fruit to be devoured. You need to have skin to be peeled, seeds to be dealt with, stems to be removed, a core to be acknowledged. Yeah. How many of you go to the grocery and you go to the fruit section and you buy the sliced fruit already. Sliced honeydew melon, strawberries, grapes, yeah, apple slices, You're lazy. You're lazy. That's why in the fall you should go apple picking. Yeah. And not the low-hanging fruit, Not the low-hanging fruit. There are examples of excellence out there, and some of you are too stubborn to acknowledge it and to take stock in it and say, hey, and some of you, maybe 5 to more years from now, will look back and you'll say certain things at the end, but you will have not acknowledged in the beginning. This young fighter here, Devin Haney, is a fighter that Terrence Bud Crawford said that he could see passing the torch to him for pound. There's a lot of dispute and despisement toward that remark. And what happens is, again, it turns into somebody that you may not like, so you don't take observation in what the merit is and the accomplishment is. And there's always opposition. But I can guarantee you one thing about this young man. If there's someone better, he's willing to test it and see. Especially if they have a world title. You can't ask for more. I remember during their era, Oscar De La Hoya and Felix Trinidad, they were both accomplishing things in the welterweight division. And I was just wondering, are these guys ever going to fight each other one day? Because they had a difference in their style and the way they went about taking out their opposition. De La Hoya had a little bit more of a flair, and he had a little bit more of a push with how his promoter was presenting him and everything. And of course, Tito Trinidad was in Don King's promotion, so we saw him, but we only saw him when he was on the cards fighting and everything, and he was always putting on good performances. Every once in a while he might get dropped and have to get up and knock the other guy out. That getting dropped thing, it happened a couple of times. I think it has something to do with his making weight or something. It wasn't like, I don't think he was chinny. Because typically when that happened, he'd go back to his corner after that round and his dad would slap his face a couple of times. Wake up, Tito. And it don't happen no more. But I remember watching these two guys, and they weren't necessarily on a collision course, but you wanted to see them face one another. And they were around the same height, same bodily dimensions, though they weren't built the same, but same kind of reach and height and everything. Like, are these guys ever going to fight each other? And finally they did. And the fight wasn't as action-packed as many might have hoped. But De La Hoya, in the first 2 quarters of the fight, kind of made himself absent with a lot of movement and scoring points, but not looking to take Tito out. Whereas Tito was kind of on the hunt, and looking for moments of exchanging, planting your feet and getting off. And he just wasn't able to slow Oscar down and cut the ring off properly. But then in the last couple of rounds, Oscar decided to just run and not fight and not score points. And they ended up giving the fight to Trinidad. Now, what was bad was this. Why didn't they have a rematch? Why? Because, see, Oscar was complaining like, oh, man, I wanted to give him a boxing lesson and this and that. But he fight him again. Get your get back. These guys, man. Salute to my brother Junior, the truth in the building. He says, big punches in the sport are easy to become underdeveloped boxers. Absolutely. Thank you for that comment there, Junior. Adrian Viet in the building. The Cali Enigma. What's going on with you, Cali? He says Boots is going to beat the brakes off Virgil Ortiz. Ain't nobody talking about Virgil Ortiz, man. What are you talking about? And he says De La Hoya beat Trinidad. What does the record book say, Cali? You don't give away championship rounds, Cali. You are too old to be making these remarks like you one of these casuals out here. Take your feelings out of it, brother. Take your feelings out. Huh? What you doing? Snoopy Mac in the building. What's good with you, Snoopy Mac? Salute to you, bro. Jonathan Simon has joined us. He says, I wish it was for Undisputed, that fight, but it still happened. Trinidad, De La Hoya. Hey, listen, man. They should have fought again. See, because I am of that affirmation that you could beat a guy on any given night, right? But if you beat him twice, you got him, huh? And if y'all split, then you might have to have that trilogy, especially depending on how the split goes. But you could catch a guy having a bad night. He could get injured during the fight. He could get injured leading up to the fight. Going into the fight, diminished. There's a number of factors that can play in. In the old days, guys fought more than once because they just wanted to prove themselves. They really did. Look at Cali. Man, listen, Cali, I'm just going to point out to you, bro. You're sounding just like them folks, man. You are. It's like, dude, that was 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Huh? I'm like, look, Evander fought Riddick Bowe 3 times. Bowe won 2, Evander won 1. I'm good. And you know Evander is my favorite fighter. But I'm like, hey, you know what I mean? If Evander would have boxed Bowe the 3rd fight, he would have won that one too. He didn't want to box Bowe. He was trying to knock him out, and he got knocked out. Huh? It happens. No feelings. I'm just like, oh, he gonna fight another dumb fight? Okay. It happens, man. The sport is full of these situations. And people, you know, the stories write themselves. The stories write themselves. There was something I had put in here. Did I put that in there? Let me see. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you guys, keep your eyes out next month for this one right here. T.O. and Shakur Shitty Cuz, huh? It's one of those fights that Don't think you know what's going to happen. And even if what you think is going to happen happens, it didn't happen because you knew it, huh? This is going to set the year off. January 31st, ring 6. Keep your eyes peeled, people. Keep your eyes peeled, because there's going to be something that happen. And I got an epiphany because I was watching some Teofimo fights just a little earlier before going live. And I now know why he's fighting Shakur. I now know. I'm not going to tell you on the air, though. I'm not going to tell you on the air. If I speak to my brothers behind the scene, I'll let them know. But I know why Tio is fighting Shakur now. It's so clear as day. It's like, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yes. But that's going to be a hell of a fight, you guys. To kick the year off. How about that? January. I remember in 1990, it started the year off February when Mike Tyson got knocked out by Buster Douglas. Then in March, Mildred Taylor got knocked out by Julio Cesar Chavez. And Larry Merchant happened to say that, is this just the beginning of the year? He's like, my heart can't take it. It was funny because the year kicked off really well with those two fights, you know. Man, what a year that was in boxing. Yep. So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting, man. It's gonna be very interesting. But you keep your eyes peeled on this, you guys. Keep your eyes peeled. Because like I said, taking the next step, this is what it is. We're stepping on into 2026 in a couple of days, and boxing is taking no prisoners, huh? And then promoters better get their act together. Golden Boy and some of the other. Listen, Turkey and Dana ain't playing. Y'all better have it ready and have your fighters ready. Huh? Because they're gonna take it to the max. They're gonna take it to the max on you. Yep. But I'm keeping my popcorn bowl ready, huh, to be filled. Because we're going to have a lot of good fights happening, man. And January is going to be good. I mentioned Atuma earlier, right? He's taking on Jermaine Franklin, I think on the 10th of January. So that's going to be pretty good. Because Jermaine Franklin is like, hey, man, I want to fight. I want to prove my wares. And he should. So yeah, let them guys get out there and show us what they working with, huh? But yeah, we're coming down to the end of this hour, man. That hour goes by so fast. My goodness. Does that hour go by fast or not? But see, that's why I just like to, keep the show like that, keep it nice and tight, because we can talk this good boxing talk about what the subject is, and have something saved for a little later. But I want to wish everybody a happy new year for 2026. I hope that we can return and enjoy this sport together going forward. Some of the matchups that are on the horizon, that we can take all of that in. And I'm every bit as enthusiastic and excited for it. So with that being said, you guys, I want to say enjoy the rest of your week. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And, we'll catch you guys in the new year. So with that being said, peace to you.